So, welcome back to another episode of the Shadow of the Apple podcast. I hope you are doing well on this Monday evening. Today, we are going to be talking about the New York Mets taking on and sweeping the Miami Marlins. And we are also going to be talking about the New York Yankees taking on the Athletics in their most recent series. The New York Yankees took 2 out of 3. They overall scored a lot of runs in these series, but overall they got the job done by winning the series.
Yeah, the Yankees are off tonight, but like we were just mentioning, they did take 2 out of 3 from the A's, finishing up a 5-1 road trip. Which, playing teams like the Royals and the A's, you expect that from the Yankees. So glad everything went well. A lot of runs were scored, like you said. They continued the pace of scoring a lot more runs than their opponents, not having a lot of close one-run games, which is good because this bullpen is not the best. Game 3 showed that a little bit. They did end up losing game 2, but we'll get to that. I'll start with game 1 Friday night. They won 8-2. Rodon went solid, 6 innings, only got 1 earned run, so that's good to see from him. His first pretty good start since he came back. Luis Severino, former Yankee, former Met, started for the A's. He was taken out after the first inning. Rough for him. He gave up 4 runs, but none of them were earned because of errors. Ben Rice, he went 5 for 5.
Can I add
Yeah,
something?
yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if you ever knew this, but apparently Luis Severino hates playing or hates pitching at that
Yeah, I
stadium.
did know that, and they talked
Like
about that a lot on the broadcast during the game too.
yeah, I heard that his I could do the look up the stat right now, but I heard his road record is like 1,000 times better than his home record.
Yeah, he's much better on the road, away from Sacramento, and also they mentioned his first inning stats are really bad too. Like he's really bad in the first inning, so he did give up those 4 runs in the first, and then was removed from because of an injury. I haven't looked more into that. I don't know what the injury was, but obviously hope he's good. I'm sure. I mean, everyone agree on that, especially. I mean, Mets and Yankees fans both like him, so.
Yeah, bro,
And in
Sevy was a
general, you don't
great
like
Met.
injuries. Yeah,
Sevy was a really good Met for 1 year. He got the job done for sure, bro.
yeah. Ben Rice won American League Player of the Week. He went 5 for 5 on Friday, 2 RBIs, a homer. He was a triple shy of the cycle, and he could have had it because in his last at bat, he hit a high fly ball, and there was miscommunication by the Athletics defenders, and it dropped. But he wasn't really hustling because they were up by a lot. He could have got to third and had a cycle, but we'll take the 5 for 5.
Let's
So,
talk about Ben Rice a little bit.
yeah,
I mean, he's impressed me a lot on
yeah.
how he's been able to hit so well. Arguably their second best hitter on the team.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I would agree with that, and I would also argue that so far this year he's the best hitter. I would say he's probably 1 or 2 in the American League MVP standings as well.
I mean, how has he been MVP level with the glove as well?
The glove. I mean, when you look at his numbers, they don't. The numbers don't love him at first base, but they also don't hate him. Like he's not a terrible defender. He's not going to win a Gold Glove. This is also his first year at first base. But if we're talking about just MVP campaign this year, the glove I don't think is going to give him a benefit or hurt him.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he came up as a catcher, so this is his first year uh, fully being a first baseman. He played a lot of first last year when he started, or DH. But yeah, so and I've mentioned in the past, he's got Goldie with him. He's a really great defender who can help teach him, so that's good to see. Yeah, I mean, when a ball goes to him, I don't think many people worry. So that's obviously a really good sign. But we'll go to Saturday's game. That was the game they lost 6-4. Ryan Weathers had a rough start that day. He went 6 2/3, gave up 5 runs. But what's interesting about him was he didn't look bad like a lot because he had good stuff. It just didn't really work out. I guess I think it was mostly his location. So he had 10 strikeouts, but he gave up 5 runs. Um, in the 7th inning, he fought with Boone. Not only fought, obviously, but he told Boone to stay in. He wanted a shot to try and close out the inning, but he ended up giving up a 2-run home run to Nick Kurtz on a fastball up and in. So talking about the location, that was rough, but the bullpen the way it is, the manager has to take chances like that sometimes. You have a good starter in, try and get through. Doesn't always pay off. The Yankees tried to rally in the ninth inning. They had 3 straight RBI walks, which is I've never seen that before. They loaded the bases and they had 3 straight RBI walks from Rice, Judge, and Belly. Have you ever seen that before?
Nah, that's
Yeah, I
wild.
mean, I've seen RBI walks. I've never seen back to
Wait,
back to back
wait, RBI what back to back?
walks.
RBI walks back to back. Oh, like if the bases were loaded?
Yeah, the bases were loaded and 3 guys straight walked, just bring runs in, not a single hit in the
Ah,
middle of it.
I might have like it probably has happened. Like
Yeah,
I
I'm sure
probably
it
have
has. I
seen it,
just can't
but like
remember it.
it is probably pretty rare.
Yeah, I can't remember it. Um, but yeah, that happened, but they weren't able to pull it off. So the final was 6-4. And on Sunday, the Yankees won 13-8. And this was a pretty crazy game. I don't know if you were paying attention to it, but
I mean,
the
there were a lot
Yankees,
of runs. There was 13-8, so I'm assuming it was a pretty wild
yeah,
game.
they scored 13 runs. All 13 of those runs came in the third inning for the Yankees. As a matter of
What?
fact, all of their hits came in the third inning. The Yankees didn't have a hit or a run outside of the third inning at all that game. Um,
Who pitched for the Athletics?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I don't have it written down.
Okay,
It
that's
wasn't
wild.
it wasn't JT Jin because he pitched on Saturday. He did pretty good. Yeah, I'm not gonna forget. But Will Warren did start for the Yankees. He went 6 innings. He had 3 runs in the first. I'm pretty sure it was. They were all unearned. So the Yankees were down 3-0, and then they scored 13 runs in that inning. Will Warren had to go all the way out to the bullpen to warm up because they're in the minor league park, so there was no spot for him to throw in the tunnel or in the clubhouse or whatever. So he had to walk
Yeah,
all the way to the bullpen in the middle of the inning, one of the pitching changes to stay warmed up. But yeah, they didn't hit a single home run in that third inning either. The inning went over 40 minutes. I think it was like 43 exactly. The A's brought out 3 different pitchers, and they scored 10 runs before the first out was even recorded, which is crazy.
I
It was
also.
one run.
Mm-hmm.
It was
I'll
1 run shy from the Yankees record, which was 14 an inning. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all good. I also want to ask, just like, I mean, I've seen, obviously, we've been following the Yankees this whole season,
Yeah,
but like, obviously, you have more than me, and I can't put my finger on why the Yankees bats have just been so good. Like, I don't know if it's just the competition that they're playing against, or just some teams just aren't that good. But like, I just feel like it's every series. There's at least 1 or 2 games where they're putting up like a shit ton of runs.
yeah. I mean, I think everything you just said factors into it. I mean, a lot of the competition. They didn't have any games like that when they faced better teams like the Blue Jays or the Rays. Those were all like closer games.
The Brewers.
So yeah, the Brewers series obviously they got swept. So, but it's also just the Yankees lineup. It's kind of the same philosophy they had last year. There's a lot of home run or strikeout guys in the lineup, but you can see with the new people they brought in the last 2 years and the people they already had, they're trying to change it, trying to make contact, trying to have longer at bats. They'll take the walk if it's offered. So it's just a lot of like it's like a next man up mentality kind of. So yeah, whenever they run into a pitcher who's not on his A game, he's not sharp, they're gonna most likely score a lot of runs off him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good explanation when you put it that
Mm.
way.
Yeah. Well, up next would be they're gonna face the AL Central leading Guardians at home, and they got the
Familiar
Red
foe.
Sox. Yeah, they got the Red Sox after. Pretty sure the Guardians have the third best record in the American League behind the Rays and Yankees. Yankees got Cam Schlittler, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon going in that series. Um, so those are our 3 best starters that are active. That's going to be fun, interesting series. The Guardians usually have pretty good pitching too, so interesting to see what goes on there. Maybe we'll have a high scoring game, maybe we won't. Um, but I do want to mention Tuesday, June 2nd, tomorrow is Lou Gehrig Day. I don't know if anyone knew that. I didn't know it until I saw it on the schedule, but
Now we do.
now we know. Just want to throw that out there. And one more thing to note.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that JC Escara was trying to, on his own, become a switch hitter to be more valuable to the team. I mean, I think that's I think it's pretty impressive. In the middle,
How
I mean, I don't know how smart it is in the middle of the season to go and try and do that, but apparently it's working well. What was your question?
I bat lefty, right? So like I don't
Hmm.
know how different is it to bat right?
Well, I mean, have you ever tried to hit righty?
No, like dead ass. I don't think I've ever tried batting right in my life.
I mean, I'm a righty, and I've tried. Like, I've swung lefty a few times. I mean, yeah, at first it's ugly. Like it's hard to like fully understand. Like when you step in the box, like how you're supposed to stand. But after a few swings, I mean, for me at least, when I try and go lefty, I kind of get used to it after a few swings. But yeah, I mean, obviously switch hitters are rare, so it's a tough thing to do. And to try and make that change in the middle of the season is impressive if it works out. But I guess it's good on him. It's the kind of guy you want in the clubhouse who's going to try and bat from the other side of the plate during some at bats to help the team out. So that's good to see, I guess. I just wanted to mention it. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Something I do want to talk about though before we get into the Mets is that this is football related, but this has to do with your
Hmm.
team. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
the New York Giants welcomes back Odell Beckham Jr. So
right.
I mean, just before I even ask, just for us as kids who grew up during that time, during like the mid 2010s, the early
Hmm.
2010s, when OBJ was like in his prime, he was just like he was so popular. He was such a big player on
Yeah,
the Giants when he first was there. Obviously, the catch, um, the boat trip. There's a lot you could get in with OBJ, but I just want to hear what are your thoughts on the Giants bringing back OBJ, and do you think they're set to be a good team this year?
I think they're set to be an exciting team. I think they'll be good. The schedule isn't as rough as it was last year. Um, a lot of year two guys, a lot of, I mean, some rookie talent too.
John Harbaugh,
And
don't
yeah,
forget.
veterans, new coach. So I mean, there's lots to look forward to. There's a lot that if it falls into place that could be a good team. Um, the division wasn't that great last year. The Giants ended up taking the games at home against the Cowboys and the Eagles. Granted, both those teams also got better this year, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll. I mean, I think they can sneak into a wild card spot. I think
Yeah,
that's a fair. I think that's a fair expectation for the team. I'm
yeah,
not gonna. I'm not gonna expect them to go far or win the division, but I mean, it could happen.
yeah. I really like their team. I like their schedule. I like
Mhm.
the new coach. I think he's a winner. Like John Harbaugh has won so much with the Ravens. I mean, there's a reason why he was there for so long.
Yeah.
Um, we have a lot of guys who showed that they could be really good. Who got hurt, like Malik Neighbors getting hurt and Scotty
Mhm.
getting hurt. A lot of those guys, coming into year two, you hope to see what they brought to the table last time, and you also signed a bunch of veterans. Like you have a decent mix of young core
Likely. Yeah.
pieces. Yeah, yeah, because they also signed Juju and they signed Braxton
Mhm.
Berrios, Jets legends.
Yeah.
So like I think the Giants will be set up pretty well. Yeah. So
When it comes to Odell, I don't. Obviously, I don't expect his prime. I don't expect anything close to that. Um, I mean, they have a plan. Obviously, they're not just going to sign him just to have him just ride the bench. But I mean, yeah, I think he'll bring obviously some fun. He'll bring some veteran insight. He'll do what he does. I don't expect him to be wide receiver one, two, or three, but well, maybe three. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun. That's the main part of it.
cool. So yeah, so let's get into the Mets now. I guess we're gonna get into four different New York teams today because we're also gonna talk about the Knicks. So, but the Mets. Where do I even start with the Mets? Where could I start? Where could I start, Ryan?
Well, we could talk about Miami when they were in Miami. What happened? Remember
Well,
that? That
yeah.
didn't go too well.
So
But
to put in perspective, yeah. So to put in perspective, the Mets hadn't swept the Marlins in New York since 2021.
wow,
So I don't know what it is with the Marlins, but they just like I don't know. The Marlins just are always had the Mets number for whatever reason. It just feels like. But what were you gonna say, Ryan? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I think a good place to start, tell the story a little bit, is what happened in Miami when they were just there. It was ugly. We talked about it just recently, but the complete opposite happened this time.
Yeah, things were clicking for the Mets, but for a lot of things. I mean, you start off with the first game, and there's so many similarities, and it annoys me. But I'm gonna get into that. So let's just talk about how the game went. So the game starts off with AJ Ewing and Brett Beatty with some two run RBIs to give the Mets a strong lead, and then Mark Vientos um, flashing his bat with a monster shot. So the young guys stepping up and being the reason why they had the 5-run lead. And I mean, the more I think about it, it kind of makes sense why the Mets aren't that great, because they are kind of banking on these young guys to be good always. So, but they get onto a 5 lead, but the lead gets cut, and then it ends up with Tobias Myers giving up a 2-run home run to Owen Cassie, who killed us in the last series as well. But the Mets were saved by PR national team legend MJ Melendez with a walk-off 2-run homer. And let me just put it in perspective. When the Mets were 22-33, 2 years ago, they swept the Marlins. No, sorry. They beat the Marlins in a night game, in a walk-off, with the DH hitting the walk-off, and the person's name for both players had initials as their names.
Pretty unique.
Yeah, all those things, or just so happen to add up. But anyways, they win the game. And that was probably their only, like, I guess, close game, because the other two games they had control over the whole way. The biggest things that come out of the Saturday game was Jared Young, who came back from the injury list, hitting a home run, and Hayden Senger hitting his first career home run. So why not? I mean, that's probably why they won that game. They had, obviously, Christian Scott recorded his first win, and what we're going to get more into the pitching performances of both of those players on Saturday and Sunday. But a big reason why they won was because guys that you don't actually expect for them to do anything, like Jared Young and Hayden Sanger, for example, the guys are just there to, like, just kind of be there. They showed up, and they helped get a pretty strong 6-1 lead, and they got the win. And then on Sunday was a complete blowout. The big highlight was Juan Soto hitting a grand slam. I believe his first career grand slam as a Met. I could be wrong. I think there was some stat I saw online. I think that's what it
Pretty
was.
sure it's the Mets' first Grand Slam this year. That's for sure. I saw that.
Okay, yeah, it might have been that, but yeah, like I mean, just to answer to you asked me before we started the podcast what was so different from this series to the last series. It's just
Yeah, that was my question.
it was just hitting. It was just hitting
Mhm.
the baseball. They had people hit the baseball. It sounds simple, but, like, you got to score runs to win games. Like,
Yeah.
it's that simple. Like, even if the pitching isn't the best, like, even if the pitching gives up 3 or 4 runs, like, that should still be doable. But with this Mets team, we've seen that it really hasn't been on a consistent basis. They haven't had consistency in their lineup from the beginning to now. And a big part does have to do with injuries, but like, you still have talent, on this lineup, and you still have talent on this team. So yeah, that's basically what to answer your question, Ryan, about
Yeah.
what.
We also mentioned the pitching too. I mean, like you said, you have to score runs to win games. The Marlins didn't score runs in those last two games. They only scored one run in each game. So obviously the Mets pitching was great, and that helps win games too, which
Yeah,
they
so
didn't do in Miami.
yeah, so Christian Scott, actually, he got his first win in 2 years. I think we talked about that in his last start, but he hadn't recorded a win at all, and he had pitched really well. and he pitched really well on Saturday. He pitched with 5 innings, allowing only 1 earned run on 5 hits, while striking out 8 batters and issuing 2 walks. So I mean, we've talked about Christian Scott, and I mean he's everything that I've been gushing him about. Like he is. I think he will be a true number two, number three, in this core rotation when it's all said and done. We could be potentially seeing Nolan McLean, Christian Scott, and then Jonah Tong in the future, as like the three-headed dragons of the Mets rotation. I think that's a big reason why the Mets are actually willing to get rid of Brandon Sprout, if you remember him by any chance.
Yeah, he was involved in the Peralta trade, right?
Correct. Yes, he was traded to the Brewers, and I think they were willing to get rid of him because they had Christian Scott coming in. I think it was either him or Tong they were willing to get rid of. And Tong has looked pretty solid too. And he's improved a lot. So, yeah, like I think we're gonna be seeing Marcus Scott. Like, hopefully he's gonna be able to get deeper in games, but he's getting the job done. I mean, he's doing what he needs to do to keep the Mets in games. Just to put it that simple.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously all you want from a starter. Keep you in the game, not give up too many runs. So
Yeah,
that's
and
obviously the improvements the Mets made from the last series against Miami.
like I say, like he's not the flashiest pitcher. I'd say, he can get a lot of strikeouts. Just depending on how he is and what kind of how he's feeling in the game. But I've always felt like Christian Scott from the moment he got called up he's a big leaguer. He's a guy I think that could be really, really good down the line, and I hope he just keeps continuing to pitch well because he shows a lot of promise.
Yeah. So that's what we'll go with. Sort of wrap it up, I think, with baseball. Both teams won their series. That's got to sweep against the division rival.
Yeah, and
But
then
I think, yeah, you can
Mhm.
go ahead if there's more.
Yeah, because I sorry, but I was going to talk about David Peterson as well.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
we talked about we were talking about a lot in the last series about how David Peterson what is going on with him? Why
Mm-hmm.
is he fatiguing? Like what has happened to David Peterson from the All-Star break from 2025 to now? And he really answered the call with 4 scoreless. Just 1 hit and 1 walk. And they took him out pretty early. I think maybe that could be something with David Peterson. Maybe he just can't go as long in games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe could be something but he got the job done. He looked really good. He had 3 strikeouts, 35 strikes out of 51 pitches. Um, and he got the win. So what more could you ask for from David Peterson on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean that's like we said with the second game too. Obviously, starting pitching sets the tone. Whenever I do my recaps for the game, I like to start with the starter because the starter sets the tone for you. Obviously, if he comes out and gives up 5 runs in the first, you have a big hole to climb out of. He gives you 6 innings, 1 run. Hopefully, your offense can score more than one throughout this
Yeah,
few innings.
and we're not asking David Peterson to be Clayton Kershaw. We're
Yeah.
just asking David Peterson to just keep us in games. And I think with the Mets offense, there's no room with the inconsistency of the Mets offense. There's no room for error. There's you got to be pretty spot on. I think if you're this Mets rotation right now, and they've done that for the most part. But there's guys who have been in and out. And Peterson's been in and out of the rotation. So, but speaking of which, we'll talk about winning. And I just saw the tweet.
Mm-hmm.
But Jose Alvarado, not the pitcher, the Knicks player,
Mm-hmm.
is a Mets fan. He was born in Brooklyn. Um, but he went to high school. He went to play high school ball in New York. So he went to the Mets game, and the Mets have not lost since. They're 4-0 since he popped up.
Mm. Well, I mean, we're talking about winning. If that's all you got to say about the Mets,
The
now I'll
mhm.
now I'll go on to. Pretty sure you want to talk about the New York Knicks. I mean, that's probably the biggest storyline in New York has
Yeah, well,
a lot of storyline in sports, but this is probably the biggest one for sure.
I was gonna say maybe he brought that winning energy to Citi Field.
Hmm.
And something I really want
Maybe.
to put out is that all the Knicks that weren't born in New York are Yankee fans, and the ones who were born in New York are Met fans. But anyways, the New York Knicks will play their first NBA Finals game since 1999 against the same team they lost to all those years later, the San Antonio Spurs. If you know anything about the NBA season, the Knicks have already beaten them twice, but one of those times in a huge game against the Spurs in the NBA Cup final, where the Knicks won their first trophy in a very, very long time. They could be the
Hmm.
first MLB team to do the double, to win 2 trophies, technically 3 if you want to count the Eastern Conference Finals, in one season. So, with that being said, the Knicks finally play their first game on Wednesday in San Antonio. Ryan, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, this kind of time, like I was going to work today and I was really thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, the Knicks are actually still playing basketball. Like it's June 1st and the Knicks are still
Yeah.
playing basketball.
Yeah, I saw other people talking about that too. Like you have the warm weather, baseball weather, but the Knicks still have games on the schedule. That's not that's not what we're used to.
Yeah. And I say this with almost any team that if any of my teams make a championship, like I really, you never know when you're gonna be back. You never know when you'll be back. You know, the Mets were in the NLCS 2 years ago. It feels that you know how far that feels
Yeah.
from like just from with everything that's happened with the Mets. You know how far that an NLCS appearance like feels from now.
Yeah, I mean I can imagine.
But like to put in perspective, though, the Mets that like they were only 2 games from a World Series and they didn't even make the playoffs last year, and they as of right now they aren't going to make the playoffs this year. So you just never know. You might think, oh, this team is on the come up. You think they're going to have their chance, but things could happen and they could not be in the NLCS the next year. They could not even be in the playoffs next year. They might even make the World Series. They might even come close to a World Series. So my point is, you just never know when you're gonna be back. The Knicks had so many things aligned perfectly for this run to happen. Like I think for one, this team was already championship or bust. They were before the season even started. They were projected to be the number 1 seed in the East. They weren't. The Pistons were. But the Pistons got exposed in the second round against the Cavs. They get eliminated, and then I think the only team that genuinely would have given the Knicks like a legit series that maybe they could have eliminated the Knicks is probably the Celtics, and they blew a 3-1 lead. And you know they played a 6 seed that they were down 2-1 against and came back. A 7 seed swept them, and then a 4 seed. So things perfectly aligned for this team to make the finals, and they also got hot at the right time. They can't waste this opportunity. They gotta do what they've been doing all series. Obviously, the Spurs are so much better than any other team we've played in the playoffs, but we are way more rested. This team is very disciplined. They have the perfect matchups for the Spurs' best players. You could definitely have Mitch guard Wembanyama. You could have OG guard Wembanyama. You could have Cat guard Wembanyama. I probably would just prefer Mitch because that's where he I say everyone who defended Wemby in the NBA Cup game, even though Wemby didn't really play in that game and he was definitely a little off in that game. I think it was his grandmother or mother or someone who passed away in his family like right before that game. But if I think out of everybody, Mitch guarded him the best. So I think if there's anyone you put him on, Wemby, I think you put Mitch on him. Um, but it's going to be a tough series. I think it'll be tough. The Garden will be lit. It's going to be great. Um, yeah, I can't wait for the series. I hope they win. I really do. I've seen some really crappy Knicks teams almost my whole life. So
Hmm.
I don't know, and I just don't know. The East is gonna get a lot better. Halliburton will be back. The Pistons are probably going to improve. I mean, they already have a good team. They were a 1 seed, but they're probably going to get more. The Celtics will always be good with Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, and Tatum will be fully healthy. So, the East is going to be a lot better next year. The East was wide open this year for the Knicks. So, look, they just got to do it, bro. They did not win 11 straight playoff games just for them to lose in the finals.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the best thing that you guys do have going for you is that Danhausen might curse the Spurs. We don't know. Hopefully. I mean, he's been on the Knicks side so
Cavs,
far.
dude. He did curse
Yeah.
the Cavs. Speaking of wrestling, I don't know if you saw Clash in Italy.
I saw clips.
Yeah, I only watched the last match. It was whatever. It wasn't a bad match. It was like Roman Reigns versus Fatu. But yeah, so I think that could kind of wrap it up. I think we knocked down everything. We talked about everything that's been going on. I guess the only thing I'll say left is that I think the Knicks hopefully will win in 6. I'm really, really nervous, but I'm also very excited. I've never seen the Knicks in the finals. I haven't seen my team in a final in a minute like this. So I'm
in 11 years.
more than excited, bro. So yeah, so I think that will wrap it up. Once again, thank you guys for watching. This is Dylan and my good buddy Ryan. Next episode, we will have the Mets taking on Seattle and their trip to Washington. And then the Yankees will be going to a town that no one will ever want to go to willingly, Cleveland, Ohio.
We're playing the Guardians. They're home, but I do agree. I went there willingly. I regret it, but
oh wait,
yeah.
it's at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
okay,
no, but you're still right on with that though. So there was no lies told.
Yeah. So once again, we'll have our next episode next. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, support the channel. Once again, this is the Shadow of the Apple podcast, and we will see you in the next one.